What's up? So I'm about to unbox a new laptop. It's been a minute where I've been looking for a specific type of laptop for myself that I wanted to use. I have a lot of different needs. I do a lot of different types of work. I work as an electrical engineer, so I do a lot of CAD software, modeling software, and then I have a bunch of other things that I do. Like I do music production, I do photo editing, video editing, and then on top of that, I'll game once in a while. I use the laptops a lot, and I use computers a lot for a lot of different reasons. I've been around the spectrum with a lot of different things. Some of the things I do is I travel too. So as you travel, you want to have something light. So one of the first laptops I've had was the Thinkpad X1 Carbon. This is super light. The only issue is it's light on power as well. So even though it's really convenient to bring around and things like that, it's still light on power. Maybe the newer ones can handle, but at the time that I had this, when I went to Japan in I want to say 2019, it did okay. It struggled, but it did okay. But there was a lot of things it couldn't do that I wanted it to do. And then as a response to that, I just wanted something like really powerful, really strong. And so I went and bought me a workstation. And this has actually been my daily driver. This is the Acer Concept D Ezel Pro 7. So super awesome laptop. It has this cool screen that kind of bends forward like this. I know this has kind of been popularized by Apple, but they actually came up with this idea long before that at CES. I was waiting for it to come out because it's such a pretty laptop, right? It's white. The backlit keys are like this amber glow. It has so many other cool things. Like because of this, you can use this as something to draw on, and then it has a built-in stylus, so you can do art and video editing. But the most impressive thing about it is the power on here. If you look at the front, you can see that it has a Xeon processor and a Quadro RTX GPU. So this thing is a beast in terms of power. There is a workstation, right? So it has a Xeon processor, RTX 5000 with studio drivers. And on top of that, it came with like 2 terabytes of storage, RAID, and it came with 32 gigabytes of RAM. So I use it for all my video editing, so a little bit of music production. I still do music production on a different computer, but I could do it on this, and then just whatever else, mostly video editing probably. I did game on it a little bit because it's quite capable in terms of the power of it. Problem with it is it's kind of big and heavy, and in fact this thing can't fit in a few of my bags that I've had. Like I did a review of the Brevity jumper. This can't fit in the Brevity jumper. Not the big one, it can. Small one, it can't. Same thing with the Peter McKinnon nomadic everyday carry bag. I can get it into the laptop sleeve, but I can't close it all the way because the corners just sits there, and it's heavy. So what I was looking for was something to combine the two, something really lightweight and something big. Oh, there is one more thing that actually worked really well for me for a long time, and that's this guy. It's comes from the family of the of Lenovo's ThinkPad line. This is the X1 Fold. So this is the world's first foldable tablet. But I've been using this a ton. The beautiful thing about this is this thing is more powerful than this guy. So I think I have a feeling like if I did want to go back to using an X1 Carbon, I could, and it would probably do well. But I wanted something with a little bit more power. This one still has like I think it has an Intel, and it has integrated graphics. Has about, I think, a terabyte of storage. But the beauty of it is look how small this thing is in this laptop mode. It's so tiny. So imagine using this on an airplane. And then on top of that, you can pull out the keyboard, which is a great keyboard for something that's like a Bluetooth keyboard. And then you can open it, and then you have a bigger screen. So it really is really flexible and really useful, but it is kind of limited. So the beauty of this and why I love it so much is I stopped having to bring my workstation home. because I could run my CAD software, I could run some lighting software on this, and it works fine. In terms of doing video editing, very light video editing I've tried, but it's not practical. And so hence that brings me to this point where I wanted something thin and light, a thin and light laptop. This one is, I think, a 14-inch, but I wanted something small, so a 13-inch laptop. And that leads me to this. So we're about to unbox the ASUS ROG Flow X13. Part of it too is like I'm about to go on a trip, and so like I said, I wanted something that instead of bringing multiple computers, each for their individual use cases, I wanted one thing to travel with that was still small and light, but also powerful enough to handle most things that I could throw at it. It's obviously not going to be as powerful as a workstation, and it's not going to be as light as a tablet, but it's pretty small. So this kind of becomes that sweet spot of the most power and performance I can get into the smallest form factor I can get. So here we go. This cute little box. ROG Flow. I think this is my first ASUS laptop. One of the interesting things about this is their first version of this was pretty cool, but it was nowhere near as powerful as this. This one, I don't know. They were like, yeah, let's throw everything and the kitchen sink in this thing. And so that's when it became intriguing. Part of my journey too was like, it started with looking at something that I could work with. And so I was looking at, Dell had this, I think, a 14-inch workstation. And then I started looking at some other things, like Thinkpad had like their 1PS or something like that, which is their smallest workstation. Workstations though get pretty expensive. Then I looked at some other things, and I kept coming back to this because this was always the smallest of the bunch. Oh, it's a box in a box. So here's the small box. It's so cute. I can tell you though, like the unboxing experience is pretty cool. If you enjoy unboxing, this is a pretty nice experience so far. So in the box comes two separate boxes. They're both individually shrink wrapped. It has the foam supports, keep the boxes in place. This may be the power supply, and then I'm assuming this is the laptop. So let's bust open the power supply. Let's get them both open. Box neat. It has like this black, glossy black box. Not quite the same as this. It's a little bit of matte blocks. This has a silver printing. This one has like, printing is actually holographic on this guy. You can see that. Open the small box. This is the power brick. I think it's 100 watts. 130 watts. The 130 watt power brick. On the underside, we have the cable. So here's your power brick. And now, ooh, so nice. Oh wow. So what I have is this. It has the film plastic on it, and then it has a decal that talks about some of the information on here. So take a look at that. It says ultra high res refresh rate, 165 Hertz, has 500 nits brightness, 100% DCI-P3 coverage, NVIDIA advanced options, 13 degrees Celsius lower CPU temps. It's liquid metal. Arc Flow Trans, maximize airflow, 0 decibel ambient cooling, truly silent, anti-dust filter, improved longevity, nebula HDR, and intelligent cooling. So let's peek underneath the lower part of the box. I'm sure it's just some files and paperwork. And I'm assuming this is just, oh, nice touch. Very nice touch. Comes with the ASUS Pen 2.0. So awesome that everything is already included and you don't have to buy it separate. Always gets high marks for stuff like that. So the satisfying unboxing experience of pulling the laptop out. So here it is. I can tell you already it's nice and light. Pull off the sticker. Let's keep the sticker on there. So, how do I describe this? Tiny. It's tiny. There's a little, it's dense, right? So it's gonna be heavy because there's some power in here. But it's still lighter than my workstation. So it has a feeling of density. It does feel pretty premium. On the top it has this ribbed cover. I can't remember what the materials. It's also even on the back side. So, talk about the ports. You have the power port, USB-A, USB-C, and then on the right side, the left side, you have this ROG port, which if you open it, it has a dust cover. This has a USB-C in here, but it also has a proprietary connector used to connect to an external GPU made just for this thing. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. There's a SD slot, micro SD, full-size HDMI, and a microphone headphone jack, combination jack. So the ports is good enough, right? And I am going to open it. One of the cool things test is if you can open it without it like lifting. That is a firm hinge. So we have a little fabric here to keep it separated. Wow. This is a beautiful laptop. I have to say, I'm impressed by the build quality. It doesn't do it justice. Like I've watched other people reviewing it. The build quality is a lot more impressive in person than as depicted on video. It feels nice. It feels premium. I really like it. Look, okay. Let's look at the keyboard now. It has these really nice keys. Look how giant this trackpad is. That's one of the newer features of the new model, 2023 model, is it has a giant trackpad. And you have this cute little 13-inch monitor. You have full-size keyboard, and then you have these 4 dedicated buttons for volume, mute, and I think this is for the what is that thing called? Armory. The armory is to adjust any of the hardware, the proprietary hardware parameters of this machine. So again, there's a AMD Ryzen 7000 series processor in here. So that's going to have better battery life than an Intel. It has a GeForce RTX 4070. I don't know, but guys, as far as like impressions go, hardware wise, this thing is a beauty. I did want to talk about a little bit about this proprietary port that has a USB-C and this other connector here. You can also connect it to the ASUS ROG XG Mobile, which is a external GPU. It's proprietary because typically external GPUs can just be connected with a USB-C cable, but this has this extra connector that combines a USB-C. And the XG Mobile is pretty cool because it has all these other extra ports, but you're also adding a RTX 4090. So you still want portability, but you want like extreme power. You can still attach an RTX 4090 to it, so it's incredibly powerful. So, like I said, The goal is to be able to have a laptop that I can throw anything at it, right? AutoCAD, Revit, DaVinci Resolve, and then editing like the craziest codecs and resolutions. I use a Canon R5C, and so I'm going to test it out and see if I can edit in 8K on here if needed. Do some music production on here. I use Ableton. A game if you want to game, because that's actually what this is. This is a gaming laptop above all else. And then just the other productivity things. And just look how tiny it is. Being able to have it in a small package like this is going to be amazing. I'm going to go on a trip to Europe on a cruise. So I'll be able to take this with me, stick it in the bag. Even if I don't bring a bag, it just makes travel a lot more lighter when you have something that is so much smaller. Very, very beautiful piece of gear. Let's open the pen. ASUS Pen 2.0. I love having pen support because I still like, that's one of the productivity things that I enjoy doing is I like writing. So the cool thing about the pen is it comes with a USB-C cable. And here's the pen itself. Nothing special about it. Oh look, comes with nibs. You have a B, HB, and an H nib. I'll test them out, see if it really is like lead weight. What I mean by lead weight is HB is like your middle ground, H is like a little bit harder, B is softer. Softer, you'll have something darker. H is harder. It doesn't transfer as much, so it gives you something lighter. So I wonder how that feels. We'll test it out. In terms of how you write on the screen, from what I've heard, it's gonna be kind of glassy because the screen is glassy, but it's great touch to have a pen. I love using a pen. I use OneNote all the time. I like to handwrite notes, and then once in a while when I do photo editings or the editing. But yeah, there's the hardware. Let's compare the weights. I got a scale here. Put something on so I can make a standoff. So let's compare the various computers that I've talked about using. This is the Concept V Ezel Pro 7. This thing weighs 5 pounds, 10.7 ounces, or 2,571 grams, 2.571 kilograms. So pretty heavy, yeah. 5 pounds, a little over 5 pounds. It's a workstation. It's supposed to be heavy. Thinolite X1 carbon. This was I forget what generation this is, but it's still super light. 2 pounds, 6.5 ounces. So this is light. I think it's lighter than this guy, but the beautiful thing about this is this has a lot of power on the hood, under the hood. And the other thing is it's 2 pounds, 15.9 ounces. So just under 3 pounds. It's still under 3 pounds. It's like a miracle how much power you can get in such a small package. In terms of travel, like if I'm going to carry all of these things together, power supply, pen, and the other charger, it weighs 4 pounds, 1.3 ounces. So reasonable. I tell you, like one of my things is like a big deal is travel. Like I'm really curious about improving by making things thinner, lighter, less bulky. And this is one of those areas, was finding a computer to do that. The weight of the X1 ThinkPad X1 Fold Gen 1 is 2 pounds, 9.4 ounces. Wow, is that lighter? Is that heavier than the X1 Carbon? X1 Carbon is yeah, it is. X1 Carbon is 2 pounds, 6.5 ounces. So in terms of weight, this thing is super light. Yeah, so if you're curious about like what the specs are, out of the box, it has a Windows 11 Home. The processor is an AMD Ryzen 9 7940HS mobile processor. It has 8 core, 16 threads, 16 megabyte L3 cache with up to a 5.2 gigahertz max boost. The graphics card is integrated graphics, GeForce RTX 4070. I think there is a mux switch if you open the Armory. I could be wrong. Correct me later. So you can turn off the I think you can. So you can turn off the dedicated graphics and then use the integrated graphics on here for extra battery life. But that's a nice touch. It has ROG boost, 1280 megahertz at 60 watts. The display is a ROG Nebula display, 13.4 inch display. There's no sRGB, no Adobe, but there is 100% DCI-P3. The screen is the touch screen. If I didn't mention that, that should have been obvious by the fact that you can use a pen on it. Has 165 megahertz refresh rate. That's pretty cool. 3 millisecond response time with G-Sync. Protect those eyeballs. Pantone validated. Yeah, so it is in the specs. It has a MUX switch. under NVIDIA Advanced Optimus. It supports Dolby Vision HDR. The memory is 16 gigabytes on board with a max capacity of 32 gigabytes. That's what's on here, but I think out of the box this has 32. This one has 32 megabytes. This model has 32 megabytes. Has 1 terabyte PCIe 4.0 NVMe M2 SSD. The size of the board is 2230. That is the one upgrade that I will do to this. If it works, we'll test it out. I'll let you know if it works. But I did order a 2 terabyte 2230 card. I mean SD drive. So we'll see if it works. But it'll at least give me a little bit more storage. 1 terabyte is a lot. But if I'm gonna do like everything on here, and especially if I'm gonna do video editing on here, it's nice to have some bandwidth without plugging in an external drive to it. Again, the in and out ports: one 3.5 millimeter combo audio jack, one HDMI 2.1 FRL support HDMI switch, one USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type A, one USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type C support display port with power delivery, one ROG XG Mobile interface and USB Type-C combo port with USB 3.2 Gen 2 support, DisplayPort 1.4, one Type-C USB 4 support, DisplayPort power delivery. That is one question I had because they said this doesn't have Thunderbolt, but USB 4? Is USB 4 some form of Thunderbolt? I was kind of confused about that. I guess if you need a Thunderbolt device, I don't know if it'll work with this, but that's something I guess we'll have to take a look at. It has a Type-C USB. Oh, that's the one we just said. The keyboard and touchpad. The keyboard and touchpad, backlit, chiclet keyboard, single light. Has a touchpad. The camera is a 1080p FHD IR camera for Windows Hello, so that's a nice touch. Audio is a smart amp technology DAC. Dolby Atmos AI noise canceling technology, so that's kind of cool. I like it when they have the hardware version of the noise cancellation, so that'll improve. I mean, I have an AC running right now, and I'm gonna have to like edit all of this in post, but this will already have it built in, and it has a built-in 3 microphone array and a 2 speaker system with smart amplifier technology. The network is a Wi-Fi 6E, 802.11ax triple band, 2x2 Bluetooth 5.3 wireless card. The battery is 75 watt hours, 4S1P, 4-cell lithium ion. The power supply is a Type-C 130 watt AC adapter, which outputs 20 volt DC at 6.5 amps, 130 watts. The input is 100 to 240 AC, 50 to 60 universal. So you can plug it into any port, international and domestic. You just need a plug adapter. You don't need a transformer for it. The weight. This says 2.87 pounds. What I weighted was a little bit more than that. The dimensions is 11.77 inches by 8.35 inches by 0.66 inches. Approximately 0.74 inches. So I did want to talk about that. Compared to the previous model, I think you lose some depth of it. So that's kind of cool where they were able to make it smaller than the previous model. But at the same time, they did make the trackpad bigger. So that's pretty exciting. Yeah, that's it, man. So those are the specs. So I'm going to turn it on, set it up. install all my little software and see how it goes. I'm gonna take it with me on a trip at the end of the month, and hopefully I'll be able to leave everything else at home. All right, so I may not have a update video, at least giving you a review of how I like this guy in the future, maybe after the vacation trip. But either way, really excited to have this new laptop. This is the ASUS ROG Flow X13. I did want to say they have another, if you want something even smaller, they have a tablet version of this, which is the Z13, and it also has the Mobile XG connector, so you can connect a 490 an RTX 4090 to it. But that's it. Anyways, thanks. Bye.